Hey, and welcome to this Money Monday edition of Liquid Lunch on Newsmax TV. I'm John Tobacco. We're coming to you today live as we do every single day, Monday to Friday, noon to 2 Eastern, from the Question Tequila Studios. We're in the Liquid Lunch Outpost in downtown New York City. Before getting into a whopper of a Money Monday show, let's go down the street and check out how the markets opened this morning. With open arms, the Dow Jones is up 183 points. I mentioned it to you at the end of last week with some good news coming out of the trade talks. If we closed above 28,000, we could be on a rocket to 30 coming into this week. They call it the Santa Claus rally, and it looks like it's underway with the market well above 28,000. Good news for year end. Hold on to those portfolios. You may be spending a little more money on Christmas this year, which is great news. Bitcoin at 7,100 coming into the week, down lower. It's gradually teetering its way down below 7,000. Could be some very dangerous and tumultuous territory. So stay aware and stay alert on your Bitcoin because they could pull the rug out of you quick. When they try to pull the rug out from under me here, I turn to my co-host, managing editor, Frank Morano. Hello, buddy.
Hello there, John. Happy Monday. How was your weekend?
Welcome. My weekend was fantastic.
Great.
Trimmed the tree at home. Celebrated early my birthday and my son's birthday, which is my son's birthday's on Friday.
Oh, very nice.
The whole family came over. We had a wonderful
night. Do you find
night.
Because your birthdays are so similar in date that the two of you end up having to share gifts a lot?
Well, you know what? I grew up, my Aunt Jeannie, my grandmother's sister, her birthday was December 18th, my actual birthday.
I see.
And so I grew up my whole life having a John and Aunt Jeannie birthday. So it's only fitting that now it's John and John, and I'm the second billing. It's really my son's birthday, and he deserves it. I had plenty of birthdays.
Yes.
Trust me.
It was my brother's birthday yesterday, and his gift didn't arrive in time. So luckily, I have
non-socialist or the socialist?
He's a Marxist.
Marxist.
Yes.
Okay.
But I happen to have a bottle of Woodford Reserve gift set that I gave him, which
excellent.
He
you should bring him a bottle of Question. He'll never know.
But does Question do gift sets?
No, just take a bottle.
No, well, you gotta make it look nice.
Okay.
You know.
Send it from the tea, maybe.
Yeah.
Crazy stuff yesterday. I've been a little hard on Chris Wallace the last few months as I feel like Fox is making its way to the left. But Chris Wallace went hard yesterday after James Comey and followed that up going hard after Adam Schiff. And he said to Comey one of the key lines, which was like real hard-hitting journalism, which I haven't seen out of him in a while. He said to Comey, the Inspector General's report said continuously using this, the dossier, when you knew that most of it was discredited. Inspector General Horowitz said it was either gross negligence or intentionality. It was unclear which of those it was. And Comey was shucking and jiving and tap dancing around that question like you never seen. And then he called out Adam Schiff after. I don't know if you saw that, Frank.
I did, and in fact, because what I actually wanted to speak frankly about has been censored by management, and you'll never know what I was going to say, but we don't live in a free speech zone here on Liquid Lunch. So if you want to know what I was actually going to say, email me, and I'll tell you, Morano@nycradio.com. But James Comey's slightly less interesting interview is precisely what I'm speaking frankly about. So let's give a look to what the former director of the FBI had to say yesterday in this exclusive interview on Fox News Sunday with Chris Wallace.
The repeated errors, some would say abuses, of the FISA process. Does Attorney General Barr have a point?
No. He does not have a factual basis as the Attorney General of the United States to be speculating that agents acted in bad faith. The facts just aren't there. Full stop. That doesn't make it any less consequential, any less important, but that's an irresponsible statement.
I don't know where this guy gets the stones to go out on television and show his face out in public. Now, so James Comey, after repeatedly insisting since he was dismissed in April of 2017 that the FBI did nothing wrong with this whole investigation, something he reiterated before Congress, reiterated before the press, reiterated in his book, reiterated a year ago. Now he's saying, oh, well, yeah, I guess we were wrong. He actually said the words, the Inspector General, Michael Horowitz, was right and I was wrong. Now, And Chris Wallace, to his credit, did press James Comey on whether or not he knew about what the FBI was doing and these 17 areas of misconduct, which Comey refused to say was misconduct, that they are outlined in the report. And Comey said no, he had no idea. So I think in watching this interview yesterday, you have to think that James Comey is either the biggest liar in the world or he is the most incompetent director of any agency that has ever lived. So everybody he appointed to run this Russia probe, Andrew McCabe, the supervisory agents in charge of the investigation itself, Peter Strzok and Lisa Page, the FBI attorney that doctored evidence to make it look as if Carter Page was somehow a Russian asset. All of these people who answer to Comey, who he has the ability to dismiss on a whim if he'd like, all of them are responsible for this misconduct, but he's Sergeant Schultz. He sees nothing, he knows nothing, he's got his fingers in his ears and his eyes closed. So let's assume James Comey is telling the truth here, which I have some questions about, but let's assume he's telling the truth. This was the director of the FBI. This was the deputy attorney general. This was the head of the U.S. attorney for the Southern District of New York. Give me a break. The fact that a guy like James Comey, who has demonstrated not just here, but in instance after instance, and we can go through them all, just pandemic incompetence, the fact that somebody like that could rise to the head of the FBI tells you exactly what's wrong with the government today. And hopefully, whoever the next FBI head is, it's not somebody like James Comey.
Yeah, no one mentions either that apparently James Comey's wife was part of a defense team that's represented the Clinton Foundation, that's represented Rod Rosenstein, all kinds of Rosenstein's wife. Represented Comey, represented Lockheed Martin when Comey worked there. So
I was going to correct you.
I see you getting your pen. Oh, okay, I got it right. I saw him getting his pen out, so I knew I mixed something up. He was getting ready for the ending. You might, for those of you just watching for the first time, at the end of the show, the last segment of the show, we call it the WTF. You got to stay tuned for that. What the facts? And I go crazy and wave my hands around and I, extrapolate and hypothecate and exaggerate sometimes. But at the end, Frank keeps it all in line and makes sure to correct every single mistake, right down to commas and periods. In the last segment, you might want to tune in. It's quite amusing. But,
well, again, you've been getting more and more right. But and it's not just me criticizing James Comey. There's a lot of people who are much more qualified than I am, including retired FBI Assistant Director Chris Swecker, who wrote in an op-ed this week that James Comey's performance yesterday and his criticism of or his claim that the IG report somehow vindicates him. It was Mr. Swecker that wrote that Comey was a disgrace to the FBI and that this IG report does anything but vindicate him.
Yeah, and I think Inspector General Horowitz was absolutely clear without any question when he said, he was asked if this vindicates anyone, and Horowitz said on the record, this report does not vindicate anyone.
In the leadership.
Period. Yeah, I'm saying anyone in the leadership. Period. So there's only two options. This doesn't vindicate anyone in the leadership. That's McCabe, Strzok, Comey, Brennan, Clapper, all those folks. And I know he didn't get into Brennan and Clapper, but you're going to see. They're going to be in this. All those people are not vindicated. And the reason they didn't turn over exculpatory evidence to the FISA judge when they knew it existed on number 2, 3, and 4 renewal was either gross negligence or intentionality. Those were the two options. So you be the judge of that. And yeah, it's all going to come out in the Senate. I hope they have a little trial just so they could call Hunter Biden up there. Let's call in Comey. Let's call in James Clapper. Let's see what was really going on here, because Trump will win like 80% of the vote. It'll be a landslide, if you ask me. But Frankie, to close out this segment, I know we have a lot to rant and rave about today. We're gonna be talking.
Big news week. This will be one of the biggest news weeks of the whole year, actually.
Dan Isaacs is coming up right after this, the former head of the Manhattan Republican Party. We're going to talk about impeachment and this one smart Democrat, apparently, Jeff Van Drew, who's switching parties now. He's not going for impeachment. He's going from the Democrats to Republicans. We'll get into all that a little later on. But you know what? I've been raging against the NFL machine And I think Roger Goodell is probably one of the worst examples of leadership for what is, I think, the most favorite sport in America. Letting players kneel, that he wouldn't draw the line there. Last week, they announced they're putting up Michael Vick as an NFL icon, NFL legend, captain for the Pro Bowl, convicted, admitted dog torturer and dog killer. That's who the NFL's feeding us. But you know what? There are good stories out there. There are good stories in the NFL, like the New York Giants, although they stink as a football team. And congrats to the Buffalo Bills, the only team from New York, Kyle's team, the Bills, only team from New York. Don't forget that. They call them the Jets. They play in Jersey, in the Snoopy Stadium. The Bills, upstate, New York, first time in the playoff, first time for 10 wins in 10 years. Congrats to them. But the Giants stink, but you know what? They're a world-class organization, and they've had, in my view, a Hall of Fame world-class leader and example for kids to look up to for the last 16 years, Frankie. You know who this leader is?
John Mara.
John Mara is the leader of the organization, and on the field...
It's not Pat Shurmur.
No, he's soon to be canned, if you ask me. Everybody's talking about
certainly not that guy that tweeted that slur, Janet.
He's gone. That shows what a
Janoris
world-class
Jenkins.
organization the Giants are. But you know what? For 16 seasons, Eli Manning has been a New York Giant, okay? He's trotted on that field and off that field more than anyone, okay? He played 200 in a time when, and hopefully not, but very possibly the last time he jogged off Giant Stadium field was yesterday after capping a victory for the New York Giants, and they did something nice. Dolphins called a timeout, and the coach pulled him out of the game with a minute left, so he got his due. He got a curtain call, and this is what's good about the NFL.
16 years, 2 Super Bowl championships. And if this is the end of the road for Eli Manning, he is going to go out a winner.
He went out a winner, okay? And many people are talking about Eli Manning, if he should be in the Hall of Fame, blah, blah, blah. Can I give you some quick stats on Eli? Because you might not know this.
Then again,
career
I might.
passing yards, 57,000, number 7 all time. 2 Super Bowls in 2007, 2011. 2 Super Bowl MVP awards. Only 5 players in history. Only 5 quarterbacks in the history of the NFL have 2 Super Bowls and 2 MVPs. Bart Starr, Joe Montana. Tom Brady has 4. I mean, he's in the top 5. Terry Bradshaw. Okay, that's the top 5. And he holds franchise records for the Giants in passing yards and touchdowns. And not once did you hear a slur, an arrest, a kneel, a nothing. He went on and off the field. He was a team player. When he had a bad game, he admitted, never pointed a finger, took it for the team. And to me, he's a Hall of Famer.
Look, he may be a Hall of Famer. He's certainly a great guy with a great football pedigree, and he got several Super Bowls. But ultimately, the most important statistic for Eli is 3. That's how many wins the Giants have this year, and he owns that record. They're 3-11. They are miserable this season, and just because he's had a great year doesn't give him any applause for the 3 wins that he's brought New Jersey with the Giants this year. So in football, like in politics, like in life, you're only as good as your last game. And while his last game has been fine, the last 9 weren't so great. Eli, it's time for you to go. Bye.
I'm going to fix all that up in the last segment of WTF. We're going to take a quick break. We got a Hall of Fame Money Monday show for you. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be back after this. He wasn't...